Welcome back, everybody. Time for some more Grand Tactician, the Civil War, playing the 1862 Confederate campaign. If you haven't seen all of the episodes up to this point, the link in the description below will take you all the way back to episode 1. You can get all caught up. We do have one new patron unit to add today. That is for James Egbers. James has requested the Stuart Brigands. He said they could be infantry or cavalry, so we've made him a cavalry brigade in Longstreet's Corps of the Army of Northern Virginia. And gray tops, light blue bottoms, Sharps rifles, and those are actually named for his hometown in Florida. Now, he observed that there's not a lot of Florida manpower, so we went with Georgia, which is the next best state right there in bordering. We did have enough troops to do that, so we have that. Thank you, James, for your support. Good luck in nursing school. We're going to continue on with right where we left off, which right now it's, let's see, June 11th of 1862. U.S. national morale still pretty good, so we've got a long way to go. Now, we haven't talked a lot about what's going on down in the Gulf region, particularly around New Orleans. Early in the war, the United States actually took New Orleans. New Orleans is by far the largest city in the Confederacy. In fact, I think it's 4 times larger than the next largest city in the Confederacy. So it's one of the largest cities in the United States, obviously a major seaport and a big target for the Union. He's got an Army of the Gulf right over here, and he actually holds a fort he's calling Fort Massachusetts. Let's take a look and see how many men are in the Army of the Gulf. They've got 6,000 men. Now, I've got these 2 forts, which historically were Fort Jackson and St. Philip. This is Fort Jackson. This one's called Department Number 1. I've got 2,200 men. In Department Number 1. I don't have that many men in Fort Jackson. I should probably get a unit placed there. I do have an army that only has 1 brigade right now in Baton Rouge, so that wouldn't be enough to really adequately combat the Army of the Gulf if they decide to make a move on New Orleans. So at some point, I'm going to have to probably transfer a unit down there, a couple of units down there, maybe get 1 in the fort. I've actually got these other forts as well, and I don't think any of them are really manned properly. So those are all issues that I'm probably going to need to address. So the first thing I'm going to do is I think I can probably spare a brigade from the Army of the West. So we're going to send Slack's Missouri Brigade. Actually, you know what? A Missouri Brigade, they may not perform as well if I send them south. So I may not have anybody I can send from there. These are all patron units, so I'm not going to send any of them. All right, let's just take our chances and send Slack's Brigade. They're going to go down to Anderson's Army in Baton Rouge. It's going to take them some time to get there, 22 days, but I think that'll be pretty helpful. All right, looks like there's some movement happening in the Eastern Theater. Army of the Potomac seems to be shifting 3rd and 5th Corps over to face Longstreet's Corps, which actually has 36,000 men, has almost 11,000 disabled. That's mostly wounded that hopefully will recover at some point. They've got good supply, but it looks like we're unhappy right now with their commanding officer, and many are deserting, which is really unhelpful. We do have a perk available that we can add, and I'm going to add the Ambulance Corps because I'm hoping we can get some of these disabled soldiers back in the ranks sooner rather than later. Because right now he's got just 34,000 active available men. And we're about to take on 2 corps, which means he's probably going to be outnumbered. 3rd Corps has got 25,000 men. 5th Corps has got 18,000. We do have Stonewall Jackson well behind enemy lines now, headed toward Harrisburg. And he's about to take Harrisburg, in fact. So the Army of the Potomac's got to be making a move to get at him. Let's go ahead and get him across the Susquehanna River. Pretty easy to cross, actually. You could almost walk across it. It's not a navigable river. It's a wide river. It's a very wide river, but it's really super shallow if you've ever visited there. There are spots where you could pretty much walk across. It's so shallow. All right, so we're going to go ahead and restrict the cotton trade. We're trying to push for European intervention, British intervention specifically, and I think restricting the cotton trade should do that. That's going to improve my relations with some of the other nations. So let's go ahead and see what impact, if any, that has. All right, we've taken the capital of Pennsylvania, Harrisburg. So I would imagine if he does attack me up here, I would expect that to be on the Gettysburg battlefield, which I don't believe I've yet fought a battle in a campaign on the Gettysburg battlefield. But that's obviously, it's only, 40-minute drive or so from Harrisburg to Gettysburg, something like that. So I would expect to see us fight there. You can see he is sending, looks like the Coast Division, the 2nd Corps, is headed up there with 18,000 men. Coast Division's got 8,000, so he's got about 26,000 men. So it'll be a pretty even fight if that's what it comes to. Meanwhile, the Army of the Potomac is shifting. It looks like he's actually going toward Pittsburgh. I don't know if he's protecting Pittsburgh from a possible invasion, but that makes me wonder how much he's got defending Washington at this point. There, cotton trade slows down. Demand in Europe increases. Record high cotton prices. Let's go ahead and see if that's going to start impacting. We're still at 48% British intervention. We're not even close, really. He has basically pulled all his troops out of Washington. Now, I know if I move with Longstreet's corps toward Washington that he's probably going to take Winchester, but I think that's a price I'm probably willing to pay. So let's move Longstreet's corps that way. Let's move the Army of the Peninsula, which is actually another corps of the Army of Northern Virginia under Magruder. Let's move it up. And we'll move the headquarters for the Army of Northern Virginia as well. We'll get everybody moving toward Alexandria with a look toward Washington. I want to look at finances real quick before we start getting into combat. I'm going to drop the Civil Order investment to 0 because, it's going to cause a loss of state support. Negative effect of recruiting drafts reduced, enemy intelligence gathering reduced. So we're going to drop that. I don't think we'll drop it to none, but we're going to make it low. I don't think I need to have recruitment very high right now because I think I've got enough men to do the job. The trade war is high, and I think that should help with intervention. Well, it's increased efficiency of blockades or blockade running. I'm honestly not even dealing with that very much right now, so we're going to drop that down. Transportation, I don't really need right now. I think we're doing okay. I might raise industry, diplomacy, which will allow access to better weapons and better prices. And I want to raise politics because I want to see if I can get some more policies going. Let's see if there's anything available by doing all of that. British intervention has gone up since we passed the cotton embargo to 58%, so that's having the desired effect. Okay, and with the addition of a new policy slot, we now have access to King Cotton 3. Strengthen the agricultural effort to increase the production of farms and plantations. With the high demand for cotton in Europe, relations will improve. So we're going to go King Cotton 3, and let's see how far that pushes European intervention. Johnston at destination. The Army of Mississippi has reached their destination, which is where? I'm not sure right now, but here comes a bunch of troops toward Jackson. We're still waiting on Longstreet to move. We're probably going to sacrifice Winchester for a chance at Washington, but let's see what he does. Look at how many units he has in this area. Some of them are going to come at Jackson. The rest, I don't know. Maybe what we need to do here is sacrifice Grafton and shift the Army of Tennessee, which we probably need to rename at this point. Let's shift them over to Winchester to take Longstreet's spot at the head of the Shenandoah Valley. All right, looks like the Coast Division is going to make the first contact with Jackson. I'm hoping we're fighting on the Gettysburg battlefield here. The Battle of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, July 27th, 1862. Okay, this is going to be interesting. This is one of those situations where we're going to have to move fast because I've got 24,000 men on the field. He's got just 9,500, but that advantage for us is only going to last so long, and I'll show you why. 2nd Corps arriving in 1 hour, 28th Army arriving in 3 hours, Army of Tennessee arriving in 7 hours, 26th Army arriving in 10 hours, 4th Corps arriving in 20 hours. When all of those men are on the field in 20 hours, he will have 80,000 men on the field. I, on the other hand, have no reinforcements on the way. So Jackson is all by himself. The only way that we hang on and drive some of the Union back is to be able to quickly defeat the armies that are in the field before he gets reinforcements. Now, the thing I don't have going for me is the time. It's actually 8 p.m., which means we're going to have very little time. So some of those reinforcements are going to arrive probably before I can even get into position to fight. So looks like he's already up here somewhere. So I'm not entirely sure that we're going to be able to get into position on the high ground south of town. Let's go ahead and send our cavalry down to Cemetery Ridge. See if maybe we can get a toehold there while we quickly rush the rest of our troops into position at double time. How about Pemberton's division? Let's try and get them down. Actually, we could get them down into position on Cemetery Ridge as well. I'm going to send Gustavus Smith's division down to the seminary up here between McPherson's Ridge and Seminary Ridge, just south of the Lutheran Theological Seminary. We'll send Johnson down to get through town and maybe come up here. And then we'll kind of just wait and see what happens, and we'll react accordingly. I'm going to send my artillery just to get in here south of town. And we hadn't even made it as far as the town of Gettysburg before the day ended. So now you can see Sumner arrives, Grant arrives, Harland arrives. Where does that put us in terms of numbers? It's going to be ugly, I think. Strength report. Let's take a look. We are now facing, okay, it's only 29,000 men. So we've still got decent odds. He's got 16,000 wounded with him. So that's why the numbers aren't higher, because he's got 45,000 total, or 51,000 when you add them all up, but only about 29,000 effectives, which makes things a little better for me. But let's see who's still coming. 10 hours till the 4th Corps arrives. His 28th Army is actually low ammunition, coast divisions, and low supply. And now we've actually got the area south of town as part of our area that we can deploy. So the question is, where is he going to come from? If he's going to come from the south, I don't know how well I can build a defensive line here, but we're going to try. Okay, we're in position. We've spotted the enemy. I've just done two things. One, I put the entire army in a defensive stance. I've also turned off initiative to all of my subordinate units so that hopefully they will just stay exactly where they are. Got a couple of units that don't have very good weapons here. John Bell Hood's Brigade's Springfield muskets that apparently, oh, those aren't rifled muskets. Those are just muskets. They don't have very good range compared to these Enfields that I have in most of my other units. Looks like he's trying to shift this way, though. I have cavalry on either flank. And let me just show you from left to right who we've got in place right now. We've got Armistead's brigade, Ambrose Wright's brigade with mixed muskets still, Burke's brigade, and then Double's Buckeyes right there. We've got Anderson, Whiting, who has a perk available. Let's give him deadly volley. Carolean Guard right here under Charles Winder. We've got Hood's brigade there. Oh, everybody's sending out skirmishers. I didn't give that order, but I guess that's an initiative they're willing to take. Wade Hampton's brigade. Stonewall Brigade, one of our only elite units so far. 24th Irish Volunteers and Sweets Florida 1st out there on the right flank. All right, here he comes. I guess he is going to come at me here now that he's noticed that I am here. I really wanted him to come from this way so I could hold the historic Union position, but it just wasn't meant to be. So we're at the angle. This is where Pickett's charge came in historically, only it came in from west to east, and we are facing south. So the Union's coming in. I only see about a division strength so far. Looks like Foster, Reno, and Park. Artillery's opening up. Let's see where we're at on artillery. We might need to move some of these units to get them in position where they can fire. Okay, this battery's firing. Let's see if they're all firing. Who just arrived? Andrews and Tilson arrived. Where's that put me numerically? Okay, he's up to 64,000 men now. He just got a huge amount of reinforcements. So this may not be a tenable situation for me at this point. The nighttime thing just killed me. If I would have had 10 or 12 hours to defeat this army, it would have been one thing, but because I didn't get to fight the first day, that really kind of threw me off. He's probably going to overwhelm me. I need to think about fortifications. I don't even know if that's possible right now. He really has no reason to engage until the rest of his force comes up. Let's get these guys up on top of the hill a little more. See if that helps. I'm going to move this battery back as well. I think we just need a little more room to fire over the heads of the troops. What kind of guns do I have? Those are 3-inch ordnance rifles. Let's do some counter battery fire here. See if we can silence those guns. Pounder Blakely's. See, now these guys aren't firing either. I need to find some better spots for my guns, I guess. Oh, didn't mean to do that. There's the cemetery. That's cool. I didn't realize you could actually see the cemetery. There's the gate that's still there today. That's awesome. I want to go see what Little Round Top looks like. I haven't really explored this battlefield too much. Let me see where we're at. Here we go. There's Little Round Top here. There's Devil's Den. That's awesome. Big Round Top over here. This would probably be the wheat field right here. Peach orchard up here. There's the peach orchard right there. Alright, he's not going to engage me. He's waiting for the rest of his forces to arrive. Alright, I'm moving up to what appears to be a more advantageous defensive position. We're going to get in behind a fence over here. Our skirmishers are starting to engage. I want to try and engage part of his army before I have to engage his entire army. Because I'm sure he's still getting into position. I'm still trying to find a place where I can get my guns where they'll actually be able to fire. Get these skirmishers up a little more here. I need Smith's division to move up though. Pendleton, still not firing. I don't know. Yeah, I just cannot find a spot where I can get these couple of batteries to actually fire. I've been trying to clear enough room to where they'll be able to see, but I just can't seem to find high ground or ground with enough line of sight to where they'll be adequate to fire. Just got to keep an eye out for what he might be doing because he's got such an advantage in numbers. He outnumbers me 3-1. And why aren't these guys coming up to the fence? These two are. These guys aren't. No, it's John Bell Hood, who of course has a issue with authority apparently. Our skirmishers are heavily engaged at the moment. Alright, we're pulling our skirmishers back in now, or at least Gustav Smith's division is. The 3-inchers are firing. Pelham's 12-pounder Blakely's are firing. The rest of my guns are not. They're firing now. Okay, that's good. I just gotta get these guys where they'll fire. Mostly just skirmishing going on right now. Let's look at the killed. 21 for me, 40 for him. That's the kind of thing we're going to need to see continue for a long time to come. Okay, I had to pull them back pretty far, but all of my batteries are now firing. Just had to get them to a place where they had enough room, I guess, to fire over the heads of my troops. He's still not moving to engage me, which is totally fine with me. Though I can see a couple of his division commanders are over here on the right. So I don't know if they're getting ready to advance or what's happening. But the more I can just engage part of his force and not the whole thing, the better. Okay, so in the midst of everything that's been happening, we're starting to get low on ammunition. It looks like Burks has lost over half his total already. Wade Hampton has been wounded in the action. Looks like Wright is starting to lose men. He's complaining about that. Most of the action, of course, happening over here on our left side. And we've only engaged one division of the enemy force. And we've only engaged that primarily with skirmishers. So it's been kind of an interesting fight so far. It's the skirmishers that are actually low on ammunition. I don't know if we pull Burke's skirmishers back in, what will happen with the overall ammunition situation. Let's pull them in and see what happens, because the main brigade's got 60 rounds still. Let's unpause, see if that's something that gets averaged out or how exactly that works. Oh, he just reissued the skirmishers right after that, but now at least they've got full ammunition again. Interesting. Since this seems to be where the fight's going on, I'm going to go ahead and send Jeb Stewart forward. He's got Merrill carbines, so they're not real effective compared to the better weapons that most of my cavalry has. So let's get him up here firing into the flanks of these skirmishers at least. Waiting for him to receive orders from his division. Actually, his division commander's right there. So I'm not entirely sure why they're not moving forward. There we go. Alright, Jeb, get in on the action, buddy. I'm going at 10 times speed so you can kind of see things are happening fast, but he's holding his whole army back, and I love it because that's the only thing that's saving me right now. But still, the numbers are pretty even across the board, and he just had some more troops. The 4th Corps arrived. He's down to 68,000 men, but I feel like that's got to change with the arrival of the 4th Corps. Let's see. 84,000 now. Oh, we're outnumbered 4-1. This is bad. He could destroy Jackson's force here if he decides to attack. So here's my thought process on this. I can start to see more and more troops getting in range. It's almost 6 p.m. Assuming he doesn't choose to attack me on July 28th on day 2 of this battle, it may make sense for me. He's coming at me with this division finally, which is interesting. It may make sense for me to withdraw in the evening and try to balance the terms of the next engagement. In other words, try to bring more of my eastern forces close enough to the battle that they can reinforce when the time comes. Because if and when he decides to bring the full force of this 84,000 men, he could pretty well wipe out Jackson's force. I don't want that to happen. I'd rather live to fight another day, even if that means temporarily kind of surrendering the ground that I've gained in Pennsylvania. I feel like what I've probably got to do is advance my forces in the west, because he's heavily concentrated his army in the Eastern Theater, where he's got an advantage in numbers. So maybe I start advancing into the Union in the west. That's going to force him to shift some of those Eastern Theater forces to the west, so I can kind of even the odds a little bit. So let's just hang on here as best we can. Try to inflict some casualties on this lone division that's attacked, and then pull out at nightfall. Gotta keep an eye out for Stuart's ammunition numbers. I'm going to go ahead and advance Pemberton's division, as well as Gustavus Smith's division, and try to just bring superior firepower on this lone division that's advanced on me. See if we can just break these 3 units. Division commander. All forces long range, please. Who's that? Burks, and why is he pulling back? Pulling skirmishers back in now. Oh, he's still out of range for Pemberton. Most of them anyway. Alright, we're seeing a significant increase in his casualties versus mine, so that's good. Get your men firing at long range, Huger. Or Pemberton. Plus, that's not how you pronounce that. Anyway, we've had previous discussions about that. There we go. Whoa, 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 whoa! Why on earth? Oh, Hood okay. I'm like, why are our guns moving forward? But that's actually, Hood captured some guns. 12-pounder Napoleons, looks like 4 guns that have been abandoned on the field, apparently. Alright, here comes the rest of his force coming down the road on me. But I still don't think it's an overwhelming number, and I think we'll have time to disengage after it's all said and done. Are guns still firing? They are. Surprised Reno's still sitting right there. Devil's Buckeyes have an upgrade available. Give them sharpshooters. They're at max range right now, and that's something they'll start leveling up right away. Oh, what's he doing there? He actually just moved right into my range. Let's get Jeb Stewart mounted up. How many men are here? 2,000, so maybe this isn't the best idea. But let's charge into him. Armistead's brigade, which is well, no, he's a 3-star commander, is down to 237 men. All right. Did the Union just charge into me? He did. Let's slow down. Who surrendered? Oh, that was the unit I charged into with Jeb Stewart. He surrendered. Excellent. Now we gotta be careful. He does have another division coming down. couple of divisions, actually. It's almost 8 p.m., so we've got another hour or two of fighting left. I want to pull Pemberton back, as well as Gustavus Smith. Let's get back to a defensive position to receive that next attack that's coming down. Okay, it's 8:30, and we're back to our original lines now. And boy, he's just got so many men up here. He's withdrawing men from the field, but he's still got 78,000 men. It's still not a winnable situation for me. He hasn't lost 30,000 men. He came in with probably 20,000 wounded. End of the day. All right, now we have to make a decision about what we want to do. And I really, truly believe the best course of action is to withdraw. But I think that was just the division that I already fought. He withdrew. Where does that put him? Still 78,000. Okay. So first things first, we're going to pull Jackson's Corps all the way back to the north end of the battlefield where we were. And then I'm going to go ahead and give the retreat order. I don't know if that'll happen instantly. Well, it's going to take 4 minutes because we're right there. We're not engaged with the enemy. And it's the beginning of the day. So really no choice if I want to save my army. Okay. He didn't lose 31,000 men. I'm still not sure why they have that casualty count taking into account the wounded that are already with them. But you can see the massive force that we were facing under Grant. Minor defeat. Okay. So Jackson's Corps in retreat. Battle of Harrisburg. That's all right. That was a tactical withdrawal. Look at the string of forces that were headed that direction. So we're going to go ahead and get him out of there. We're going to try to consolidate all parts of our force, including the Army of Tennessee. Get them all within range so that they can reinforce one another when the time comes. In the meantime, though, as I said before, what I need to do is I need to draw some of this massive concentration of firepower over to the west. And the only way that I'm going to be able to do that is by making a concentrated move with all my forces into his territory. So the Army of the West, 19,000 men. Army of the Ohio has how many? 14,000. So let's go ahead and make a move, a bold move into Illinois, Springfield the capital. Let's move forward with the entire Army of Mississippi, which I think we're still waiting on from a withdrawal that happened there. Joe Johnston is falling back to Nashville. So once we can get all these forces kind of concentrated, that's the Donelson garrison. All the rest of my Army of Mississippi is already up in Kentucky. First Corps under Anderson. Here's the Third Corps under Breckinridge. All right, let's get Joe Johnston move up to where Breckinridge is. No, we can't yet. He's still withdrawing. All right, here's an opportunity to really open things up here. The Army of the Southwest, which has about 10,000 men, has engaged with the First Corps. Battle of Evansville Ferry. Interesting. Let's do this. All right, looks like we're going to be interestingly on the Bull Run battlefield, which seems to happen a lot with Western Theater battles. I know they are adding some new maps, and I think they even mentioned something in a post about having done so already, but that might be in the current build that hasn't been released as a full patch, but is still available. I haven't added it only because I don't want to mess up the current campaign with something that hasn't been released as a full patch yet. So let's get into position. We've got the numbers. I want to try and get an idea of where he might be at before I start moving. It looks like he's coming in from the other side. So I want to try and, I think, stay on this side of Bull Run if I can. All right, we found him. He's sitting tight at Sudley Springs waiting for me to attack him. So that's actually a really good defensive position because as you can see, he's got 2 crossings right there. He's surrounded by water. There's really nowhere for me to attack without having to do so across a body of water. It's kind of the perfect defensive position if you're outnumbered. But what I can do is I can get down here and I can shoot at him from across the water without having to actually engage him in that spot, which is I think what I'm probably going to have to end up doing. All right, we're on to day 2. I've got my artillery in position, and my artillery's starting to fire on him now. He's got more men there than he had before. It looks like he brought the rest of his troops in. I'm just going to let the artillery hit him for a while. We're going to bring Chatham's division around this side. See if we can maybe start firing into him from behind this fence right here. Looks like it's a stone wall, actually. We'll let the artillery keep doing their thing. I might move Hubbard's battery up a little closer if we can get a good spot. There's not a lot of good ground from which to see him, though. Actually, may need to bring them over this way. No, not from there, though. Let's see if we can bring them around. We'll bring the artillery around with Chatham's division. We'll get them in position up on that high ground. And then we'll bring everybody up at once and start firing on them. Okay, so here's where we're going to bring the artillery. We're going to put it right up here. It's going to have a nice view of their position. We're going to bring in Chatham's division right along this stone fence here. Once they're in place, I can start moving Clark up. Get him in position. And we'll see what he does in response to all of that. Let's bring DK's Cowboys. That's Haygood's brigade up right over here. See if they're in range. We've got some feuds here with some of these brigade commanders. That's not ideal. Yeah, I'm not surprised to see that he's starting to move because he doesn't quite know what to do here. All right, Haygood's in contact. It's DK's Cowboys. Let's get them dismounted. But maybe that is where I put it. There we go. Ruhr Valley Brigade, get there. Johnson's brigade here. Let's get the 5th Kentucky Mounted Infantry dismounted and firing from behind that wall. Oh, they don't quite have the range, do they? It's just out of range. Church is taking some hits. Okay, let's get this brigade moved up. How'd they move up instantly? That was kind of weird. Move Stevens up over here. Tyler George and get him up next to the Sudley Church as well. And then I think we're going to sit tight. I like the position. I don't know what Ruhr Valley Brigade's doing. I don't know why they're having trouble. They don't seem to want to cross over this battery. So we're definitely seeing some glitching. And the feuding that's going on with these brigade commanders, the Shelby Foot Brigade under Jordan, Stewart's brigade, is really messing things up over here. Who's the division commander there? It's Bonner. Oh, no, he's the artillery commander. Charles Clark. We may need to replace him. He seems to have issues with his brigade commanders. this is an unfinished railroad. That's not a wall. Alright, well, it'll still work. They're not firing. What in the world? Why are they not firing? Whoa! What's going on here? Where's the 5th Kentucky Mounted Infantry going? They broke. Wow. Okay. What's the situation? So we've only lost 8 killed. Why would they be breaking? We're outnumbering the men the enemy 2 to 1. How many men did Blaine lose? He lost 190 men, but only 8 killed. Wow. Okay. Can we rally, please? Having all kinds of trouble with commanders here, apparently. This should be an easy victory for me. We need the Shelby Foot Brigade to get back up there into the fight. I need this battery to be firing, and it's not. How about over here? Let's move these units up. Who withdrew? Oh man, 5th Kentucky Mounted Infantry not only broke, they just left the field completely. Ugh. I got Jordan facing the wrong way. There we go. Alright, we got this battery firing now. Man, what a mess. Hey, good. DK's Cowboys doing their job. They're down to half ammunition, though. Ugh. No initiative. Do your job and get up there and fight. Valley Brigade doing well. Anderson's over here, and I really don't want him over there, so let's put him a little closer. No. I want him to ride that way, though. Let's put him right there, I guess. Wow, what is all this? Did he start withdrawing? I believe he did. He just withdrew a bunch of his men. He's only got 3,500 men left on the field. Excellent. He's pulling back. And that should be the end of this. So we had our own problems, but the enemy figured out that it was time to go. Okay, so it wasn't the prettiest of victories, but it was a victory. And that's going to allow us, that's going to clear the path for us to go ahead and start moving into Union territory in the west, which I think should mean that he's going to have to draw troops out of that crowded Eastern Theater and start sending them west. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up right there. We've got a long way to go in this campaign, which is what I like. I like that it's taking a while, and we're not just winning a quick victory in a few months. That means the game's getting more stable. It's getting more competitive, and I'm curious to see what that'll look like moving forward. But let me know your thoughts. Use the comment section below. Drop a like if you would. We are going to get back to some of the other series this week as well, but that won't take away from this campaign. We'll continue to do videos every other day as long as we can. Thanks for watching.